Hello, everyone. It's the Movie Night Society here once again. And we talked about Gremlins a couple weeks ago, and we thought we'd follow it up with Gremlins 2, the new batch. The less successful sequel than or movie than the first one. I think it wasn't like a hit at the box office or anything. Uh, but it's become a cult classic, and there's a lot of people who consider it better than the first movie. Uh, I had not seen this before, and I assume you hadn't either,
No.
right? Okay, so this was a new movie for both of us. I was pretty excited to see this because I've been wanting to watch this for a while, but I never did for some reason because I love the first movie, and was curious to see how this one stacked up against it. Uh, it was very it was very cartoony and very chaotic, kind of like the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah,
But
that's very much like the first one. I
yeah,
don't feel like they jumped the shark or anything with this one. It just feels really like a bigger version of the first one.
yeah, bigger budget, bigger effects, and kind of like bigger scale, even though it's kind of contained to one building.
Yeah.
Bigger production value, I guess. I don't know what the budget is compared to the first movie, but it certainly feels like it's a bigger budgeted movie. And it's I think 6 years after the first movie.
The
Uh,
actor that played Billy looked older, so I figured it had to
yeah,
be a couple years where he looked and sounded just older. So yeah, it didn't seem like it was 2 or 3. I figured it's like it has to be at least like 4, maybe 5 years. Uh, you know, just what it seemed like.
yeah. So first one came out in '84, and then excuse me, the second one came out in 1990. So yeah, six years between the two. Um, and yeah, I'm looking at the budgets. The first one was 11 million, and the second one was 30 to 50 million. So quite a big difference in terms of budget. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know where to start with this movie because I mean, again, this is the first time I'm seeing it. Uh, I guess the basic premise is that uh, Billy Peltzer and I don't was it Kate, his girlfriend's name?
I think, but
Yeah, it's Kate. I remember that because it's Phoebe Cates playing her.
oh,
Uh,
that make
so
it easier.
Kate. Um, so they've moved to I believe it's New York, right?
It's New York, yeah.
Okay, and they have a job. They both have jobs at this building, uh, the clamp tower, clamp building, or whatever it's called.
Yeah. And
And
this is where the movie mainly takes place.
yeah, it pretty much really like there's really only a couple other locations, and they like the antique shop from the first movie comes back. That's kind of where the movie really starts, is like
I
the
just have
clamp.
one question about that though. Where's the grandson?
I know, I was kind of wondering that too,
He's just
but
not there.
yeah, I guess it's just like unimportant.
I guess. I just think it's funny that they started tearing down the building and everything. I guess I'm like getting a little bit ahead of myself if we want to break down the plot here though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so clamps the clamp tower is owned by this businessman named Daniel Clamp, who it's just like it was an interesting character because I was sort of expecting him to be like dickhead, just like asshole, like
Yeah, because that's
businessman.
usually how these characters are played.
Yeah, but he's really more just like too ambitious, I guess,
Yeah.
is a good way of putting it. He's just like kind of like everything that sparks an idea, he immediately just kind of like goes with it. Uh, But yeah, he was like kind of a fun character, more than I
Yeah,
thought he would
I
be.
thought this was like a fresh take on what we're usually given with this type of character, where they're just kind of like mean and
Yeah,
they just like you said, kind of a jerk to everybody. It's like this guy's not really like that.
yeah, more so the assistant is kind of like that. He's the
Yeah,
one
the
that's
assistant
more
kind of plays
mean to
that role.
Billy.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
but
so Daniel Clamp like sends his assistant and some other men to the antique shop because it's like on a property line that they want to buy, and of course the old man refuses. But then we cut to like 6 weeks later, the old man has died, and they're tearing down the antique shop. But Gizmo, cute little Gizmo, he's so adorable in this. There were so many times where I was just like, "Aw."
yeah,
Oh, I just
a
find
bit.
him he's so adorable. I love Gizmo. And I like that he got to do like a little bit more in this movie. There were some fun little gags with him. Uh, and yeah, Gizmo is there, and they're wrecking the antique shop, and Gizmo kind of gets out of there, but is taken by some scientist guys that Clamp has. There's like a whole secret lab, not secret lab, like a scientific lab, like it's Oscorp or something.
Yeah,
Like
it's funny you say that too, because I was gonna say that this place felt like Oscorp on steroids.
it really did, yeah. I thought that was really fun. I mean, like the first movie was more steeped in like, I don't know, the Gremlins are like this mystical kind of thing, and then this movie adds like a whole sci-fi element to like all the Gremlins kind of like start taking, different chemicals and stuff to like transform into different types of Gremlins, which is a really fun idea. I liked that idea a lot. But it's like a very different movie from the first one. The first movie is very like quaint in comparison. I felt.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not saying that as a bad thing or good. I don't know how to like compare the two yet because it's like my first time seeing this movie. Um, but like yeah, the first movie is very quaint. It's very much just like, okay, here's this kind of small like American town, and then the second one is like, here is this like, you know kind of, I don't want to say sterile, but just kind of like, you know everything is sort of like devoid of personality in a way. Like the guy uh goes up to Billy and like, he's like he like takes the art that Billy has made of his hometown and is like we have art that is supposed to be supplied to you, and he like goes over to this picture that's just like two squares and like a
Like a
circle or
triangle or
something.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, like really modern
just
art.
yeah, just
uh
like a couple shapes,
yeah,
essentially. It's like
which
this
made
is
me laugh
approved
because
art.
like
This is the type of art you have to
yeah,
have.
which was
Like,
really funny because like my parents have that kind of art, and I thought it was kind of funny. um I don't necessarily dislike that kind of art, I guess, but it's just like it was really funny because it's like, oh yeah, here's this beautiful, you know uh like drawing that Billy made of his hometown, and then like goes over and there's some shapes on the wall. It's really funny
this
to
is
me.
art.
Yeah. Yeah, those, I don't know who did those paintings or drawings for the movie, but they're really cool looking.
Yeah, they were good.
Um I'm sure you could find out who the artist is, but I'm not going to look it up right now. Um I forgot to say, I assume that this is in like you watched on HBO Max, right?
Yes,
Okay. It started with like the Looney Tunes, right?
yes, it did. It was like
Okay,
a
yeah.
minute and a half of
Yeah, it
the
was
Looney
like
Tunes. It's like,
I
am I
was kind
watching
of
the right
like,
movie?
"Oh, yeah." I was like, I knew it was Warner Brothers, so like, okay, there might be some cartoon or something, but it was like, "Oh, is this like just a Blu-ray thing? Is it just like a Blu-ray, you know, little short before the movie?" Because sometimes they
Understandable.
do that.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it like it like transitions like into the title sequence, and it's like, "Oh, okay."
yeah, it
But
caught me
I
off
kind of,
guard.
yeah, it caught me off guard, but I
Almost
think
made me want to
like
watch a Looney Tunes movie. Like, I want to watch like more of this now.
Yeah,
I
but
don't care about Gremlins. I'll watch some Looney Tunes now.
it definitely like sets the tone for like the chaos. Like
Oh yeah,
here's the Looney Tunes, and then like that's kind of what the movie is. It is a
yeah,
live action Looney. I think we kind of
it
said that
really
about the
is.
first movie, where
Yeah.
it's like live action cartoon in a way. Um, so yeah, Daniel Clamp like manages to get the property after the old man dies. Um, but that's really just kind of there to like set up how Gizmo gets to the Clamp building. Because yeah, it's kind of weird, like because like okay here, because I keep thinking of like how we do sequels now, where it's like every character from a previous movie is treated like I don't know, it's like some kind of higher power or something, like higher character, you know? Like
Hmm.
every character feels important unless you're like what's the character who died in Batman v Superman? The Jimmy
Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen.
I forgot
Yeah.
who you're talking about there. I was like, someone died in
Yeah,
Batman
but
v
like
Superman. I don't even remember. Oh yeah, Jimmy Olsen just
yeah,
dies at the beginning of the movie.
yeah, it's like it kind of felt like that where I was like, "Oh man, they just kind of like unceremoniously like this old man, like the old man from the first movie just dies," which I thought was kind of funny, like in a weird way, because it's just so different from how we do movies now. Um, and yeah, so that kind of is almost just like a little bit of setup and connection to the first movie in a way. Um, so yeah, like Billy is working as an artist for Daniel Clamp, and they're like trying to like renovate Chinatown, uh, and almost I don't know it. Those paintings, like those drawings, made me think of like a Disneyland thing, like Tomorrowland. You know, it looked very like here's this vision of the future in a way. Um, and it was I don't know, it was interesting, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, the plot really kind of starts when Billy finds Gizmo, um, because he. Oh, okay. What we got to talk about this guy, the delivery guy. Did you recognize him?
No, who was it?
Oh my God. Okay, this is the second Breaking Bad actor that I'm honestly shocked you didn't recognize this one.
He was a
It's
Breaking
Tuco.
Bad actor.
It's Tuco.
Really?
Yeah,
He's so much younger than I didn't recognize
I
him.
know. It's crazy.
I didn't.
Uh,
Okay, yeah, I
and
didn't
there,
for 1 second think that was Tuco. He's a lot younger in this, so
yeah, I
you
was
can't
like,
fault you can't fault me too much for it.
I guess
That's
not.
funny.
I was just like, man, okay. Did he? The third one was really hard to notice. Like I only noticed it when the credits came up. Did you? I'm sure you didn't.
I didn't
Uh,
watch the credits really, so
Dean Norris is in this movie.
is he?
Yeah, he's like the SWAT team member at the end who like shoots one of the gremlins that's laying on the ground.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
it's like really quick and hard to
Okay.
notice though.
Yeah, I didn't
But
notice. I didn't catch that either. You think with how many times I've seen Breaking Bad,
I
but obviously,
know.
obviously the actors are a lot younger though in this, so leave me alone.
I was just like, I was like, oh man, Will's gonna love seeing Tuco in this. Now you gotta
Yeah,
like
even
go
though,
back and watch the scene again.
yeah, I probably will. Thanks. Wow. Yeah, you're thinking, he's gonna definitely notice those two. He's seen Breaking
Yeah,
Bad so
because
many times. Well, I didn't, so
I think I read on the Wikipedia like something like, oh yeah, these actors from Breaking Bad are in it.
that's funny.
Uh, like when we talked about Gremlins like a couple weeks ago, I think I was looking at Gremlins 2 and I saw that. And but
Well,
I
there's some
forgot
other people
about
I
it.
recognized in this movie.
I'm trying to. I mean, oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
Christopher Lee.
Christopher
Like
Lee
obviously the
was.
number one thing. It's like Christopher Lee's in here. Okay, cool. And then like this Hulk Hogan cameo was funny.
Oh yeah, that was funny. That felt like I don't know. That felt like so weirdly.
That was a very meta humor for sure.
Yeah, it felt
That
very
that
ahead of
whole
its
that
time.
that whole part.
Yeah, where the Gremlins burn the film reel as the movie's playing, and then
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan has to tell them to turn it back on.
that felt very surreal. I loved it though. That was a pretty
Yeah,
great scene.
it was like really, I don't know, this movie just kind of did whatever it wanted. Like, hey, let's start with the Looney Tunes, and then like let's bring Hulk Hogan into this. Let's have the Bat Gremlin fly through the like fly through the wall, and it just shows the Batman
That's
logo.
yeah.
Like, so so stupid that you kind of have to love it. And this was obviously before, like, it was so weird watching this now because it kind of felt like a movie that would come out now and we would hate it,
Mm,
you know, like with
yeah.
all the references, like I saw Free Guy. I don't think you saw Free Guy, but like
Yeah,
that
but
was just,
I know how much you hate that movie.
yeah, it was just reference overload, and it was so annoying. Or like, even though I kind of liked Ready Player One, like the references were kind of annoying. Like, but the story was okay.
I think
But
because
like
those
that,
movies are relying too much on that, whereas this one,
yeah,
it didn't. You know, it never felt like it was relying on any of that stuff. It just, you know, it was just a little bit here and there, kind of like, you know, fun little Easter egg type thing, subtle or not so subtle. But it didn't feel like it was shaping its whole identity around it. That's probably
yeah,
why it's
yeah.
not annoying in this.
It's more just like the identity of the movie is chaos, so let's just do whatever.
Yeah, and that
Um,
is what they did.
yeah, there's so many just weird little like gags in this movie, like when the Gremlins stop the movie and then they start playing some like weird, I don't know, like sex movie or something. I'm not sure what
I
it
don't. Yeah,
was.
something. It's just there's this woman and she's
It,
naked, but you can't see
yeah,
things. But it's
it's
like,
like
what
two
is
naked
this?
women playing volleyball, but like, yeah, they're all like their bits are like always like obscured by leaves or something. And then like a woman walks out of the theater like angry because she has her kid with her. Just like, yeah, it's like such a weird gag. Or like when the 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 Clamp building has like all these different broadcasting stations, and one of them is like a movie station, which I I gotta remember what the name of the show within the show was called. I think it was like Burn the Movies or something like that. Was that it? I can't remember now. But like it has like film critic Leonard Maltin in it, and he's like reviewing the first movie.
Yeah,
In the second movie, it really
great.
is like, oh, the movie Police.
Mm.
I loved that title. It was like so stupid.
Yeah, that was a very meta-ish moment again, where
Yeah,
it's like they're talking about the first one like it's a movie, but it's like, well, wait a minute, we know that it wasn't a movie. So it reminded me a little bit of Blair Witch 2, where it's like, oh, the first
yeah,
one was like just a movie, but like we're also a movie, you know?
yeah. It was, again, it feels very like ahead of its time in a weird way.
Yeah. I
Like
think
that kind of stuff happens more now,
I just
but
gotta say, like, I think the first gag that I thought was pretty clever was the scene with I think it was Christopher Lee's character, like where you kind of get introduced to him, and he comes into the room and he's asking the guy uh, who's kind of looking after Gizmo. It's like, how's the cloning procedure going? He's like, oh, just fine. And then like he has a twin, and it's like it's going great.
yeah,
Just like,
I
oh, okay, it's a twin. I don't know,
I
just
had
I thought
to
that was pretty funny, clever
I
joke.
have to wonder, that has to be like actual twins playing those
I
two,
I
right?
figured, yeah.
Because like I don't know, it felt very weird. It's like, man, they really do look alike, and I'm trying to like look at them.
I just figured they were
Yeah,
twins.
okay, they're twins. That's right. Because I was like,
Yeah, I just thought making
I
a
was,
cloning joke and revolving twins, it was funny. I think that was like
yeah,
the
that was
first
fun.
gag where I was like, okay, that was pretty clever. I liked that little joke.
Yeah, I was just kind of like thinking because this movie came out uh a year after Back to the Future Part 2, where like they kind of do the actors like, you know, in the same shot. Like, they have to playing two characters in the same shot. So I don't know. I guess I was just kind of thinking of that. And yeah, but yeah, it's twins.
Yeah,
Actually,
that was what I figured.
yeah. So I don't know. It's like we're kind of just going everywhere and talking about different gags because this movie doesn't have like a total like focused plot necessarily.
No,
It's more
it's really
like
like the first one, except maybe a little bit more chaotic. It's like once he finds Gizmo again because Gizmo is being kept in this laboratory where they're doing all these crazy experiments, and of course, like he has to leave Gizmo behind, and he goes on a meeting with, I guess she's like what like his boss kind of
yeah, his supervisor,
something
I
like
guess.
that, which it seemed like they were going to go in the direction like, oh, well, there's going to be a misunderstanding between him and his girlfriend because she's going to think he's cheating on her with her because
Yeah,
he won't say like I got to go on a meeting with like my supervisor and she's an attractive woman, just letting you know. And then like she kisses him and you can see the lipstick and it's like I was like, is the movie gonna really have to like focus on this? But it doesn't really, thankfully.
yeah. I was glad that it didn't.
But
It would have felt very cliched and kind of like, okay,
yeah,
yeah, we get it.
thankfully it didn't really stay with that, so that was nice. But of course, like he has to leave Gizmo behind, and Gizmo's gonna wander around and he's gonna get wet, and that's how things are really gonna get to start happening here. So that's,
Yeah,
I mean, like it's got
gets
to happen.
he gets wet by this like janitor guy is like fixing one of the water fountains
Yeah, which this
'cause
water fountain is
it just
spraying
like
out like 5
sprays.
feet or
Yeah,
something like
it's
that.
because that was something that reminded me of the first movie where like I mean the whole idea of the gremlin is like it messes with technology, right? So like in the first movie all of like Billy's dad's gadgets like went awry, not
Yeah,
because of the gremlins but just like
I was kind of
that was
surprised
sort
Billy's
of the
dad wasn't
theme.
in this. The
I
actor
know.
was
I
around,
kind of
right?
wanted him to.
I was
I
surprised he wasn't.
I think he was. I'll look it up, but
Yeah, I expected him to pop up at some point, but he never did.
yeah, he was still around. He passed away like, let's see, 9 years after Gremlins 2. He was apparently a singer songwriter.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at the right guy, uh, that's interesting. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I was kind of like hoping he would show up in this, but I guess it kind of makes sense because they're not like in the hometown
Yeah, it makes
anymore.
sense. It's
But
just
they
kind of a
did
bummer.
have
I did like the dad character from the first one. So
they did bring back Mr. and Mrs. Jesus, I can't remember names today.
Feather Bottom,
Yeah,
something like that.
Futterman.
Futterman.
Yeah,
That's
played
close.
by Dick Miller and Jackie Joseph. I don't know Jackie Joseph, but I mentioned Dick Miller in the last.
I think I said Feather Bottom because I've been watching clips of Arrested Development lately. So I think that's why that name came to mind. So just throwing that out there.
But yeah, so like they managed to get those characters back in, which is kind of weird because like I really thought they were dead in the first movie.
It seemed like he died. Yeah, it seemed like he got run over by the tractor or something like that in his own house. And
Yeah,
we never. I don't think we see him again after that. So it seemed like he was supposed to die, but they're like, "Oh, he lived." Like you. That was. I think they met. Didn't they mention the tractor going in the
they
house or something?
mentioned
It's
like
mentioned.
they said he was almost killed by it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess since it didn't show, they couldn't get away with it. I mean, I wasn't like,
Yeah,
"Oh, this, no way," or anything like that. I was just like, "Oh, okay, I guess."
yeah, I was
They
more just
wanted this
like
character back or
surprised.
something. So it's like, oh, okay, I did not expect to see this character because
I
yeah,
feel
it did
like
seem like he died in the first one.
I feel like maybe in the like original script or like a first draft or something, it was probably supposed to be Billy's parents, right? Like that kind
That
of feels
that
more
would make
like
more sense, I think.
yeah, that feels like it would make more sense, but who knows? Um, yeah, so yeah, I don't know. The plot just kind of like jumps around a lot between different characters, and there's always like a moving thing of like how are we going to stop the Gremlins? But it's more just like that's the through line. That's not really the focus of the movie, you know. So
Ugh.
yeah, I don't know. Just I mean, okay. One thing I mean, I think we have to mention is like the effects in this movie are great.
Yeah,
All
most of them
the
were pretty good.
puppets.
Some of it, I think when they, I guess not use. I don't think it was CG, but when the bat one flies, that
Oh yeah,
obviously doesn't hold up too well. It's not
yeah.
like
The kind of like
awful, but
composite shots or whatever you
yeah.
wanna call
Like
'em.
other than that though, like everything else looks pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. There's like all kinds of stuff. There's hand puppets. There's animatronics. There's
Yeah, all of that stuff looked good, and I thought they aged
yeah,
pretty well. I didn't think any of it stood out or looked really bad where I could tell like, oh man, this looks so bad and fake and cheesy. That all looked pretty good. But so did it did in the first one too. So
yeah,
there's just
yeah.
like a
It's
couple
like
of those shots. I think we also get one like with Gizmo walking out of the cage where you can, obviously tell that looks little wonky.
yeah.
But except
There's
like those two scenes that I can think of, everything else looked pretty great.
it was really just cute to see Gizmo like walking around.
Well, yeah, not a bad scene or anything, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just one of the ones where you can tell it's like okay, yeah, when it comes to him walking, it you know doesn't look quite as good.
yeah. Yeah. Most of the effects look great, and I mean, I love these like again little monsters roaming around and causing havoc. A la, of course, Gremlins is the gold standard, and then Critters is great, in my opinion. Ghoulies is a lot of fun. Uh, the one thing, okay, I'm gonna nerd out here. Ghoulies is really fun because all of the Ghoulies are kind of different. There's like the rat ghoulie, the fish ghoulie, cat ghoulie, and they all have different designs, which I think makes it fun. I liked that in this movie a lot, where every gremlin kind of had a different
Yeah, it
design.
gives them more like personalities and more things to
Yeah,
kind of like remember about them. Like, oh, one was a bat, and one, could talk, and one was
it's like a spider.
a spider, and then there was the female one who kept wanting to marry the
Yeah,
assistant.
yeah, and he like kind of is like into it at the end.
I think he just like surrenders, like
Yeah,
I'm not getting out of this, so it's like might as
yeah.
well. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Sorry, well,
And
just
then
accept his fate.
yeah, there's like an electric gremlin.
I didn't need to see a gremlin with boobs, by the way. I didn't need to see that.
Yeah,
Just
those are maybe a
saying.
little much.
That's like, I don't know how to feel about that. I don't think I like that. Just
But
gotta
yeah,
say,
they're all pretty different out the gate too. Like in the first movie, they
yeah,
all look
they all
like
looked like
Gizmo.
Gizmo, except like
Yeah,
they different expressions. But like this one, they just had full out different appearances. Which, yeah, I liked that though.
yeah.
Gives them
I
more
thought that was a good
personality.
change.
Yeah, it makes it easier to remember some. Like I called them the dopey one. Like what I'm talking
The
about. I don't know.
oh,
That's
the
really
one
like,
with like the buck teeth, or
yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah.
had
He
like a
kept like
goofy
doing this
laugh
like,
too.
like
Yeah, he had
laugh.
like a goofy laugh and everything. I just
Yeah,
called him. It's like I'd call him dopey. He's the
yeah.
dopey.
I'm sure there's names for all these gremlins. Like if you like
Oh, I'm
look at the
sure. Yeah.
wiki or something, so people probably have like all kinds of nicknames for all these characters. Um, the smart gremlin was really fun. Okay, there's this whole like kind of subplot with this almost like this horror host character who's like his name is like Grandpa Fred. He's like dressed up like a vampire, but he like wants to be like a broadcaster and like report on serious news.
Yeah. I
So he
like
like
that he
ends
was
up
in
reporting.
this vampire costume like the whole movie too.
Yeah, I really expected them to like, oh, he's like gonna wipe off all the makeup
Yeah,
or
never does
something.
that.
Yeah, that was that was fun. And he's like he ends up doing an interview with the smart gremlin, which is the scene behind me here. Like I was like I like when the scene started, I was like, oh no, is the smart gremlin gonna fucking Joker him? and then,
Now we
and then
Joker.
it
We
happens.
Joker's a different
Hey,
gremlin.
Joker's this like little gremlin. I don't know why. That made me laugh a lot. It was just like, oh yeah, I mean, like the
Well,
gremlins
it's
are
funny
supposed
because
to
he's
cause
also talking
havoc.
about being like civil while doing this too.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
felt
he's like
very
stating his
Joker-esque.
mantra. It was like, yeah, it felt very Joker-esque. You're right. Uh, yeah, so that made me laugh. Yeah, it's like just a lot of fun gags. There's some pretty good gremlin violence in this one, where the gremlins just get like eviscerated in different ways.
That they do.
Like, because I was sort of like, okay, there's that scene in the first movie where like the mom kills like 3 of the gremlins in one scene. I was like, are we gonna get anything like that in this one? And then we got like one is Daniel Clamp like puts one in like a shredder, and
Yeah.
that was pretty gruesome. That like I was kind of surprised how like violent that was, because like okay, you just changed the blood from green to red and it's R, you
Yeah,
know,
pretty much.
like it was pretty violent. And then the other one is when the BB case is like in the elevator and there's all these gremlins like I think on the bottom of the elevator,
Yeah, something
and
like
like
that.
and some gremlin is like messing with the controls for the elevator, and the elevator goes from like really high up at the bottom floor and it just crashes and it just like smushes all the gremlins, and they're like blood comes through the bottom of the elevator because it crashes so hard. It's like, oh my god. Like scenes like that were really, really well done, and like, you know, production wise, it felt very, you know, that's kind of scene felt very kind of big in a way with the crash and everything. I thought this movie was shot a lot better than the first one, just in
Yeah.
terms of like different ways to move the camera around and stuff. I thought like this film looked really good. I felt.
Yeah,
um,
I agree.
and the score is really good too. The Jerry Goldsmith score, I think, did the first movie. But like that score is really, really great. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of other things to talk about with the movie. Because yeah, it is really just like okay, they're sort of figuring out like how do we kill the gremlins? Oh well, you know, sunlight kills them. Let's trick them to think that it's like 6 o'clock or so they'll think it's nighttime outside.
And leave the building.
Yeah, and they'll leave the building and
And
just
then
like
they'll get
get
roasted.
killed. Yeah, which ends up not working. Uh, Billy comes up with a. I'm not sure how I felt about the way that the Gremlins were defeated in this one, because it was more. I don't know. I thought the sunlight thing was actually kind of clever, and I guess it's still. Well,
Yeah, just for them it gets cloudy, so they couldn't do that.
yeah. So like
So they have to think of something else.
Billy kind of like traps the electric gremlin in a phone because he puts
Yeah.
it on hold, which is like such a again like such a like you basically just have to like check your brain aside and just go with it, because it's like okay
That electric
the gremlin
gremlin
can't.
reminded me of like a Scooby-Doo villain. Because I think there is a
Yeah,
Scooby-Doo villain like that.
the
That even looks
cyber
kind of like that.
chase.
Yeah, Cyber Chase. Yeah. Like he kind
Yeah,
of even looks kind of like the gremlin a little bit
yeah,
when
he
he's like
does.
that. So I immediately thought of that.
I know. Yeah, so like really like has Mr. Futterman like spray all the gremlins with water, which of course is like going to multiply them, but he sends the electric gremlin out and it uh, electrifies all of them, fries them all, and again, the effects on the gremlins all melting was like really cool looking. Uh, again, like I don't know, yeah, I don't know how like I would have felt, you know, as a kid. I think I would have really enjoyed this as a kid, but I just feel like this movie probably scared a lot of kids. It's just so like
First one did.
goopy and violence, and for like a kind of kids movie, I guess. Um, and I think this one was PG-13. The first one was PG because the PG-13 rating didn't exist. Uh, so, by the way, I don't know if you can hear, but it is raining hard. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know if you can
raining.
hear it at all.
It's not too loud up at my house right now, but yeah, we got some hard rain.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, were there any like characters or story beats that we kind of missed, or?
I mean, that's really it. It's kind of like with the first one, where there's almost like plot wise not a lot to talk about. It's just the Gremlins get out, they cause all kind of mayhem, and a lot of the movie is just seeing like all the different like antics that they get into, and you have fun with that. And then it's like
Yeah,
the characters trying to figure out like a way to kill them. So that's how these movies are. They're very simplistic movies. There's these little monsters, we got to kill them, and a lot of it is just kind of watching all the chaos that they get into, which a lot of fun. These movies would be really fun to watch with other people too. I think.
yeah,
I
I
think
think
that would
so.
enhance the experience.
Yeah, especially the first one is like fun to watch around like Christmas too. Um, yeah, they're really hectic and crazy. This one was almost. I want to say this in a good way, but like it was almost so hectic that it became exhausting at one
Mm,
point. Like it's just so many things happening,
yeah.
like so many gags they're throwing at you and everything. But it was like a lot of fun. I think this is like just one of my favorite types of movies where it's just like I think I said this with like The Evil Dead, where it's like you have like a through line, but it's mainly just like sort of like an excuse of like, okay, let's just get the effects team to do whatever they want and just like come up with all kinds of gags and throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. That's really the kind of movie this is, and it really works for the chaos of like the Gremlins. Because the first movie was chaotic, but more so in the last act, and everything is more build up, which I think kind of this one is really kind of like the whole thing kind of feels chaotic at times,
Mm,
to
yeah.
varying degrees, but
Oh yeah.
um so yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I'm still trying to think of things to say, but I don't know if I have too much else to say. Because yeah, it would just be us talking about like every scene. uh
Yeah. I think if you enjoyed the first one though, I'd see no reason why someone wouldn't enjoy this one though.
yeah, and I think like I can see why a lot of people say this is better than the first one.
Yeah.
I'm still like I'm on the fence
I
because they're
think I
very
liked. I think I liked this one more.
I think this one was better. But at the same time, like I like the quaint like simplicity of the first movie, but this is
I can
like
see
kind
that.
of the perfect way to do a sequel, I
Yeah, I
feel.
really liked the setting, like the building that this all takes place in, and the different kind of floors are different themes almost. I
Yeah, that
think
was a
it
lot
just
of
like
fun.
for this idea, it was just like a really good idea to have like let's just take this and then have like the gremlins can just go all throughout the building and mess with all the different floors. It's just a lot of
Yeah,
fun ideas. So
yeah,
I
and
really I liked the setting a lot in this place. Like the building, like the setting itself felt like it had a personality in a sense.
yeah. I wonder what they would have done for a third movie if it came out closer to like Gremlins 2. Because this really kind of feels like they went all out in a way. Um,
Yeah, it only
and
feels like like if they had to escalate it more, like them actually making it out into a city this time.
yeah,
Like that's I don't see where else they could really go.
I did read on Wikipedia because like they've been talking about doing a Gremlins like reboot or soft reboot for
Well,
years now.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happens now, just because they're doing that with everything. So
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind it. I would just, I mean, I feel like this kind of movie is so niche now, though. Like it's just not the kind of movie that would draw in a crowd, you know. it would be something
I
that like is
still would
straight
not
to
put.
HBO Max.
Yeah, I still wouldn't put it past people though
No,
to
no,
make it.
but like I'm saying they would make it, but I think it would be like a smaller budget, closer to like the first movie rather than the second
Oh,
one.
yeah, I could see that.
Because yeah, it's not like yeah, I don't know, it's not like a Marvel thing where like I think everyone knows Gremlins, but it's a little bit more of a cult
Uh,
classic in a way.
uh,
You know, like it gets mentioned a lot around Christmas time because it is like a Christmas movie, but it's not like a It's a Wonderful Life or Elf or you know, where
mhm.
it's like oh yeah, it just kind of appeals to everyone. So I don't know. I would want like a really good budget and effects team for a reboot. Like, and I did hear that their plan, if they do go through with it, is to not use CGI or use as little as possible and use mostly puppets and animatronics like these movies. Which is obviously the way to go and the only way that would actually like please anyone who wants a Gremlins movie. Um, but the plot idea that they had, I think I don't know if they're going to do it or not, was basically like there. I think it was Zach Galligan talking about it, the guy who plays Billy, and he was like, they came up with a really dark idea, which was basically like, okay, if all the Gremlins essentially always spawn from Gizmo, should we kill Gizmo? I'm like, I just like thought of this like whole weird morality tale where like they have to like decide if it's okay to like kill Gizmo or not. And it's like it just doesn't have like any gremlins in it. It's just called like Mogwai or something.
Dark
I think
movie
that
reboot.
I would see that. That'd be really funny. I just love like these. I love goofy puppets and stuff. So these kind of movies are always fun. Um, so I'm down for anything. They did like a Critters. I don't know if it was a reboot movie or like mini series or something on Shudder. But I heard it wasn't. I heard it was pretty bad.
Mm.
Um, and then I don't think anyone gives a fuck about Ghoulies. I don't think that's ever coming back in any capacity. Um, and then there's stuff like I don't know. There's like a Halloween movie I watched called Ouija's Halloween Night, where they're like stoner gremlins. Basically, it was really fucking terrible. But like I don't know. Yeah, it's just like not. It feels like such a small subgenre of horror in a way that I wonder how the budget will be. But I think it will happen. I think it'll happen at some point. There's apparently like some Gremlins like animated show coming out soon. I had no idea
Mm.
about this. I think it's like called like Gremlins like a Mogwai origin or some shit like that. Oh, Secrets of the Mogwai. um when is it coming out even? Uh it's supposed to come out this year apparently, so uh maybe I'll watch that. I don't know. Um I guess it's a prequel though, and
Mm.
it's animated, so it's not going to have like animatronics and stuff. But I don't know why. Like a mini series, I think would do well. Anyway, we're speculating at this point.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So I'm pretty satisfied with our talk of Gremlins 2, the new batch. Should we rate it now, or do you have anything else to say?
Sure. No, I think that's it.
Okay. Uh, how about you go first?
Do you remember what I rated the first one?
I think a 3.5.
Okay. I think I probably would also give this one a 3.5, even though I liked this one a little bit more. But I still think it does. It's not like quite a 4 for me. So yeah, I think this is like anyways like about the same like kind of quality as the first one. Um, so I'd go like a 3.5. Still pretty fun.
Yeah, I have the same rating as the first Gremlins. I'm giving it a 4.5. There were points where I was like, oh man, this is like a 5, or just like loved what was going on. But it is like a little exhausting, and some of the jokes don't totally land for me. But I think both movies do what they're doing like super well, and especially for like their kind of respective budgets. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think they're both really fun. I definitely recommend both. So that's yeah, that's it for Gremlins. Have you we kind of talked about this before we started the video, but uh we're talking about what we're gonna do next for a series. Excuse me. Um
You're not excused. There's no
so,
excuse.
sorry.
Should be.
Uh so what are you thinking? What do you think is a good series to
I'm
go?
thinking the next series we're going to tackle is we've done the first movie here on this channel. It was what our second. Well, it was like my first suggestion for review, and then I've seen a couple of the sequels. But I haven't seen all of them because HBO Max took them all off. Thanks for nothing. But they have a Blu-ray for like $20 with all the movies, so I've just been thinking about getting that anyway. So we're going to do the rest of the Rocky movies.
Yeah, and Creed 3 is coming out soon.
I mean,
Which
we'll see about the Creed movies.
yeah, we'll
We're
see because
definitely
like
gonna tackle the Rocky movies 2
and
through
if
Rocky Balboa.
yeah, and if we're gonna do these every other week, like we're probably gonna be into Rocky 6 in like March or something.
Hmm.
Uh I think Creed 3 comes out in March 3rd. So I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. I definitely think doing the first 6 Rocky movies. I mean, we did the first one already, but
So the next one will be
uh
Rocky 2,
yeah.
which we've both seen. I've seen 2 and
Yeah.
I've seen 3. I haven't gone to see 4, Rocky 5, or Rocky Balboa yet. So
Yeah, and I've seen all the movies, some of them multiple times, but like 3, 4, and 5, I think I've only seen once. So it'll be interesting to see those again.
I'm excited
So
to see
yeah,
2 again. I really liked 2.
yeah, two is
2 was
good.
great.
I guess we don't have to do the video on it. We already said it's good.
Yeah, there you go. We already know our thoughts. We're still
Yeah,
gonna talk about it anyway because I want to talk about Rocky 2.
yeah, we gotta talk about
Good.
it, and we'll kind of recap the first movie as well. But I mean, you could always watch our video on the first one, uh, if you want to catch up on it. Uh, so yeah, we'll watch all the Rocky
Maybe
movies.
like when we talk about Rocky 2 next week, you can leave a link or something to the first one if people
I might
want to
do that.
check
Yeah,
that out.
yeah. If I
Probably no
remember
one
to.
will, but you can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll talk about the Rocky movies, Rocky 2 next time, and yeah, we'll see you then. Yeah, if you want to follow along with us watching the movies, they're not on HBO Max, so I don't know, rent them or something. You're gonna have to find your own copy somehow, or like Will said, there is a collection on Amazon with all 6 of the movies for like $20 or so, right?
Yeah, it's like
And
20 bucks right now.
there is a collection of the first 4 coming out on 4K. I don't know why it's just the first 4. I know I know like Sylvester Stallone doesn't like Rocky 5, but like it's part of the series. It's part of like the legacy to me. So I don't know. Well, maybe it'll get a 4K release at some point, but yeah. So you have to kind of get your own copy or rent it, whatever, to follow
Yeah, it's
along.
on Amazon. All 6 movies for 20 bucks, the Blu-ray. So
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, we'll see you next time for Rocky 2. Well, yeah. Catch you later. Bye.
bye.